So for my human rights report card, I chose to do Syria. And Syria is located in the Middle East along the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea, bordered by Turkey, Iraq, Lebanon, and Israel. And I gave Syria the grade of an F because their state is in a serious crisis and their government is failing to protect the people. So first, some of the human rights issues in Syria are the refugee crisis, the chemical weapons attack, and human shielding. As for the refugee crisis, Syria is currently in their seventh year of civil war, and during these 7 years, there have been over 12 million Syrians displaced, and that includes 5 million that are seeking international refuge and 6 million that are displaced internally. And many of these people are forced into refugee camps, which have limited or no access to food, clean water, or health care. And additionally, the government is restricting access to humanitarian aid and making it harder for other nations to step in and assist the refugees. Also, the chemical weapons attacks are a major issue because the government will use them and attack from planes, which leaves the people unable to defend themselves. And they drop things such as chlorine bombs, mustard gas, and sarin, which is a nerve agent which attacks the nervous system and blocks nerve endings. And these chemicals will kill the Syrians and kill them in mass numbers, and are used as like torture devices, blocking them from being able to breathe and see. One possible solution to this, I think, is to try and regulate chemical activity and air activity, which may seem like a lot, but even just having some army outposts, just making sure that the planes are serving like the purpose of protecting rather than hurting their people. Finally, human shielding is another major issue. Human shielding is a raging problem, and it's mainly ISIS using the people of Syria for their benefit by, for example, taking innocent people off the streets and tying them up to be a barricade during attacks or shootouts, and they basically tie up innocent civilians and use them between them and whoever they're fighting. They also launch attacks from private places like schoolhouses and churches or mosques. And another thing that they do is they've taken children hostage and used them as a cover for illegal activity. An example of this is filling a car with young boys while they flee the city, so they avoided airstrikes on their vehicles, and they had like illegal drugs in their car. Then some of the images. So these are three of the major human rights issues in Syria. Like I said, talked about the chemical attacks and the refugee crisis, and additionally the homeless orphans is a major issue. So this image in the center shows a young Syrian boy being carried by a member of the Syrian civil defense and the young boy's injured, and this is after an airstrike. And chemical bombing is very dangerous and it kills people, but it's unfortunately very prominent in Syria, like I said. And then additionally, this image shows a group of young orphans at a refugee camp. And as families are forced to flee their homes and millions of children are taken to refugee camps, oftentimes parents are either killed during the escape or separated from their children, which leave children as young as babies, as you can see in the image, left as orphans and without parents. Additionally, the third image shows Syrians, adults and children, fleeing from their homes, carrying all their belongings in their arms. And you can see in the background tents set up at the refugee camp. And the refugee crisis is an issue as well because border countries are unwilling to take in refugees, and this leaves them with not very many options. So, finally, there are some non-governmental organizations that are working to protect Syrians, such as Islamic Relief, Save the Children, Syrian and National Non-Governmental Organization Alliance, and Concern Worldwide. And these sites are helping to relieve the refugee crisis and the other human rights issues in Syria. Thank you.